Hey guys, and welcome to the live stream that is live. And today we're going to be talking about Star Wars video games. Where have they gone? Why are we not getting as many as we should? And the state of just the Star Wars universe outside of the movies overall. So to begin this discussion, I guess, obviously this is I'm calling this Rich Vlog Live because this is live and you'll be able to watch it later. But, once in a while I like to do something live, just so we can kind of talk about it in the now. And maybe I'll answer a couple of your live questions. But anyways, as you know, a few years ago, Star Wars and Lucasfilm overall was bought by Disney. And, I love the way that Disney handles their properties for the most part. If you look at Pixar, if you look at Marvel, Disney kind of takes a step back and lets these companies just still work their magic while Disney kind of just keeps an eye on it and helps, promote it, etc., etc. But the one thing that could maybe be looked at as a mistake, at least some people have seen this as a mistake, is that Disney shut down LucasArts, the branch of Lucasfilm that was dedicated to making video games. And if you look at all of these old Star Wars video games, the one thing that they have in common is that little LucasArts logo in the corner. LucasArts published all the Star Wars games, obviously. And, look at the, Knights of the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic 2, there you can see it has the Obsidian logo down there too. LucasArts, they made things in-house, but they also outsourced to other developers to make their games. And I loved when they did that. I love Obsidian. I love BioWare, which made the first Knights of the Old Republic game and obviously makes the Old Republic MMO. Still, thanks to a loophole. Oh, they started making that before EA got the entire license, although EA was already publishing that, so that's a coincidence. And, look at, TT Games makes Lego Star Wars, obviously, but for the most part, since this has happened, since LucasArts went away, and we have EA in charge of all things Star Wars, we have gotten Battlefront, which many of you will agree is not as good as Battlefront 1 and 2, the originals. And, we've had, Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens. We had, some Star Wars in the Disney Infinity. And then we've had, we continue to have the Old Republic. But that's about it. And we're talking about a brand which has had Star Wars games, like 2-3 Star Wars games out every year. And I know there hasn't, and not everything has been a gem, but I mean, certainly we got games like this one right here, Shadows of the Empire. Probably my favorite Star Wars game of all time. And I know it's a lot of other people's favorite. It was a classic on the Nintendo 64. And man, what a great game. You had your space battles, your third person battles, just on the ground with a gun. You had your speeder bike level. You had your basically the level that would become the entire game of Rogue Squadron. You had the snow speeders on Hoth taking down AT-ATs, and we had that. We had Battlefront. We had Jedi Knight 2, Star Wars Outcast, Jedi Outcast. Star Wars Pod Racing. It's like basically a big part of my childhood and a lot of people's childhood is growing up not just with the Star Wars movies, but the Star Wars video games. And I can't help but feel that since EA got the license, they've really barely done anything. And like what we got with Battlefront, I thought Battlefront was okay, but it really felt like it was more of an online experience. And, I felt like it didn't really have enough. And, they're like, oh, well, it takes a long time to make a video game these days. So it's like, sure, well, then you could also just remake an old video game. But that's also difficult because now Star Wars has a story department that works so closely with each other. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That keeps everything consistent between the movies and Rebels and everything that goes on. But at the same time, it also makes it harder to make a video game because now everything that's being made has to be checked by the story department, make sure that it fits in with the continuity and everything. And, it's not like that was that hard to do before when George Lucas was the only person you needed to get story approval from. It seemed like they were able to make a lot more. and now you got to go through like basically the Council of Story, where where everything has to be approved through this community, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, and that has proven in other ways for other brands and other companies to be a really successful thing. However, we have now had two really good Star Wars movies, by the way. I really like Force Awakens and I love Rogue One, but where is the Star Wars representation in video games? I mean, not again, I'm gonna talk about specific things. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I mean, it is a fact that a lot of Star Wars fans were disappointed by Battlefront. What I personally would like to see is I would like to see a game like Shadows of the Empire that really takes advantage of all aspects of what you can do in a Star Wars game. I would really like another single-player offline Knights of the Old Republic game that shows us what life was like in the Old Republic, and then maybe that'll help make that more canon than it right now. They're kind of treating that as non-canon, and I don't like that. I would like that to be considered canon. So let's make sure we do that. Maybe even have an Old Republic show, like maybe when Rebels is done, or hey, why don't you've got like 5 or 6 Marvel TV shows happening at the same time. Why can't we have more than one Star Wars TV show happening? Why does Rebels have to be the only Star Wars show? Maybe have a Netflix Star Wars show that's a little bit more mature than Rebels. I love Rebels, but I would also like a Netflix style Star Wars show. Come on, Disney, come on, Lucasfilm, let's make that happen. But we're talking about video games here. And a lot of things were promised to us by LucasArts before LucasArts got taken away. Obviously Star Wars 1313, we were going to be able to play as Boba Fett in the underworld of Coruscant. That had a lot of promise. There was also a Darth Maul solo game that looked really cool. That was going to introduce Darth Talon to a lot of people. And now, that didn't happen either. It's like, I don't understand what is so hard for EA that they can't just keep the development departments going. Whatever, disband LucasArts, do whatever you want, but keep those people, those developers on board so that they can finish these games. I guarantee you a Darth Maul solo game and 1313 where you play as Boba Fett, those games would have made so much money. I don't understand why they did do things the way that they do. I mean, just the way that it is right now, where we're basically getting like 1.5 Star Wars games a year. It's like, I'm not okay with that. As a Star Wars fan, I'm really not okay with that when in my life, I've been so used to an overabundance of Star Wars games, so I don't know, maybe it's just me. But burr. Anyways, let's take it to some live questions here. Marty Man 641 says, The Force Unleashed. Yes, The Force Unleashed was a really cool game. Unfortunately, even if they were to remake that game, it would still be Legends, because Rebels kind of, the show Star Wars Rebels has basically it would be impossible for the story of Star Wars Rebels and Force Unleashed to take place in the same universe, since it's two different stories about how the Rebel Alliance got started. They would have to retcon some things in Rebels for Force Unleashed to make sense. And after everything's said and done, Force Unleashed, I really enjoyed that game, but it was really short. And I wasn't the biggest fan of the story of Force Unleashed, honestly. I think that it was kind of out there as far as the story went. And so I'm not sad that that's not canon anymore. However, I thought the game itself was fantastic and fun. So maybe let's do another game like Force Unleashed, but maybe about Kanan, who is one of the Jedis in Star Wars Rebels. That would be a fun game. Anyways, yeah. What about a game for Master Windu? Yes, Mace. In fact, Samuel L. Jackson has been talking to George Lucas, and they both agree that Mace Windu is still alive. However, both of them are not involved anymore at Lucasfilm, and definitely not at Disney, so unfortunately, they don't have any say over that as far as continuity goes. But I really hope that Lucasfilm listens to that. And Jedi have survived a higher fall than what Mace Windu, I know he lost his hand, but look at Luke and Empire Strikes Back. He loses his hand and falls down, and he's still alive. So I really doubt that Mace Windu, one of the most powerful Jedi, is actually dead. I definitely think they should bring back Mace Windu. A video game would be perfect. I'm sober. Rich, this is by Bro Decimi. Rich, I think they don't have any ideas for the new Star Wars, I think. Oh, no. Trust me. They have plenty of ideas. It just has to go through this whole committee, like I said. And, things get messy in there. Whatever. That one gamer says, this may be a shock, but I have not seen any Star Wars movies. I just think that they're too old to be good, but everyone says they're the best. Ooh, okay, well, you know what? Guess what? I'm going to be speaking now as Richie, the film nerd, the film buff, and not as the Star Wars nerd for just 1 second. Oh, man, how do I put my thoughts into words here? Too old to be good? Is that even a viable phrase? Let me tell you something, sir. Some of the best movies are older than Star Wars. I mean, if you look at Godfather Parts 1 and 2, Casablanca, Citizen Kane, these movies are all older, and in the case of Casablanca, much older than even Star Wars, and they are still really good movies despite their age. I don't think that a movie's age has anything to do with how well a movie is. And let me think of some other favorites of mine from back then. I mean, even... look at the first Alien movie. That's from 1979, the very first Alien movie, directed by Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott is my favorite director. Alien is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's right up there with Star Wars for me, and that's from 1979. So I really don't think that age... I mean, if anything, I'd say most of my favorite movies are before 1980 anyway. I do obviously have favorites from the last 30 years, but I definitely think the quality of movies overall has honestly gone down since then. Certainly there's a few really good movies every year, but man, saying that because it's old it's not good, like, I'm just telling you as a person, dude, you definitely have to expand your horizons and see some older movies and learn to appreciate them. But, that's not what this is about right now. But, anyways, Jack Hamilton says, do you believe it was a missed opportunity for Christopher Lee and Samuel L. Jackson to have battled each other in Star Wars? Yes, I do, actually. I love Samuel L. Jackson. I love Christopher Lee. I would have really loved to have seen them fight. Of course, I could also say, I would have loved to see Vader and Yoda fight. I would have loved to see Obi-Wan and the Emperor fight. I really would have loved to see Yoda and Yaddle fight. But, I mean, like, that's the thing. That's why Star Wars movies, you can make as many Star Wars movies as you want. I will never... I enjoyed The Force Awakens. I enjoyed the prequels. I don't dislike any Star Wars movies, despite what people say about them. I really like Star Wars a lot, obviously. And I would love to see anybody fight anybody because, that I just want to see it all. Alright guys, I think we're gonna slightly get off topic here if I go on any longer. I guess I just wanted to rant because, I saw the new map packs for the Rogue One DLC for Star Wars Battlefront, and yeah, it looks pretty cool, but at the same time, it's like I already sold my copy of Star Wars Battlefront. I don't really want to buy it again just to play the Rogue One stuff. As cool as it looks, I want a real Star Wars game, EA. If anybody from EA is going to listen to this, and they won't, I would really like a real Star Wars game. Alright, I guess that's all I have to say about that. Alright guys, thanks for, watching, and then now this will become, in just a few minutes, it takes a while for processing, this will become a real video on YouTube and not just a live video. Let me know in the comments below. Please like this video. It's really important you like this video because algorithms. You gotta like this video and leave a comment on this video. Let me know what you think. What kind of Star Wars game do you want? What was your favorite Star Wars game growing up? And, tell me anything. What's your favorite Star Wars movie? Let's keep it on Star Wars. Alright guys, I'm Rich Alvarez. See you guys later. Brr.